Hello and welcome to Show Up, Stand Out, online visibility series for entrepreneurs. I'm your host. My name is Juliette Stapleton. You know me as the Queen of Visibility. I am so excited, guys. I know I say I'm excited all the time, but today I'm like extra excited because I've been looking forward to this interview so much. It was like the light at the end of the tunnel of the week for me, because this woman that I have on today has amazing energy and you're about to experience this brilliance. Let me introduce you to DeKesha Williams. DeKesha, welcome to the show.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much, Juliette, for having me.
I'm going to read a little bit in a very natural way, guys. I'm going to read a little bit about DeKesha so you know, before we jump into the conversation, you know what you are getting. So DeKesha Williams is known as the virtual COO, business strategist and leadership development trainer. She's the CEO of Visions Consulting, where she helps small business owners who struggle with growing their list and building their tribe and making money online, using webinars to launch their signature offer to the masses. Did I just make a bollocks of it? Did I just completely mess up your bio?
No, you did.
Basically, this woman is the queen of webinars, and that's why I am bringing her here, because she is someone who can explain to you guys why you should consider webinars, how to do that, and how to, 10 times magnetize your impact and your income using webinars. So this is what we're here for. DeKesha, I'm going to start with like a really hard question.
Oh boy.
Are webinars still a thing?
Oh, that's a really good question. I love that, because everyone says that webinars are dead. But actually, 40% of marketers consider webinars to be the most efficient and effective way to market your business. Literally. Wow. Yes. And so every influencer that you see online that are promoting some type of online curriculum, which you know is going to be a $300 billion industry, guess what they're using in order to get them into that program? A webinar. So they are not going anywhere. We are just getting started. We are just getting ramped up. And it's so funny because I've been in this space for so long that I remember before there was webinars, there was teleconferences. Do you remember that?
Oh my, yes, I actually
dial in.
That was something, you know what, it's funny because I am kind of technical person, but I'm very late adopter. By the time I got over the fear of dialing in, this whole thing was finished.
Oh, wow. Yes. So see, webinars have really taken over from the teleseminar days. Now, granted, some people still do conference call or teleseminars, but the webinars are the go-to. They are literally the go-to because, I mean, we'll talk about it. I told you I'll start talking all day long, but it's
we will have to really control ourselves because we can turn this like 20 minutes conversation into 2 hours. But so I agree with you that, and I also agree that even though, maybe some people are saying webinars are dead, and often that happens from people who are not actually really, either they are not really persuasive at actually the art of webinars, or they tried them and they didn't work out. So now they didn't give it enough attention, because that's what often happens. But also not everything works for everyone. You have to have this kind of magnetism, I think. But even these days, there is still a webinar style way of delivering your content, for example, through Facebook Lives. And so many people do that, and they don't call them webinars. And yet they're doing
not a webinar.
Structure. Yeah, but there is
not
a difference.
Webinar.
Yeah, but there is a big difference. So what I want to know and what I want to learn from you is what is the advantage of actually setting up proper webinar over, say, for example, doing something with the same structure but as a Facebook Live?
Great question, and let me educate your audience. So for the online space, there's a buyer's journey, okay? So now, of course, I got like one piece of hair that's like stuck. But before someone actually makes the decision to invest in you, there's a journey that they go through. And it's a 3-phase journey. And so I want you guys to, as you are listening in, I want you to write this down, because it's the awareness, it's consideration, and then it's conversion. All right? Awareness, consideration, and conversion. Now, let me educate you. Like, if you don't hear anything else I say for the next 15 or 20 minutes, This one statement is going to change your life. Live stream is for awareness and webinars are for conversion. Let me explain to you. Let me repeat it, and then I'm going to explain to you why. Live stream is for awareness and webinars are for conversion. Here is why live streams are for awareness. And a lot of people, when they say, I'm going live, I'm doing a webinar, it is not a webinar platform. It is not, I repeat, a webinar platform. But here's the deal, right? When you go live, you are going live and there's no barrier to entry. There's absolutely no barrier to entry. So let me tell you, like when I go live, I don't know about you, but my daddy shows up on every single live stream. There's my baby girl, right?
my mom, and then she, exactly. You see Russian languages, Russian typing all in caps, that's my mom.
Yes.
Seriously.
So, but my father, my mother, and my sister, and you know, they are not my ideal client, but they are connected with me on Facebook or, you know, YouTube, whatever live stream platform, right? And trust me, my father's on Instagram too now. But I say that to let you know that there's no barrier to entry. So you are literally opening yourself up for awareness. It's like anyone who's kind of scrolling through and, you know, they may see it if it's shared. So you don't know if you are getting in front of your ideal client at all whatsoever. You have absolutely no clue. Now, don't get me wrong. I have been connected with individuals just because of the awareness, right? But when I do a webinar, I am doing a webinar for a specific reason. And we are going to be discussing a specific topic, okay? And so on that particular webinar, I have one particular topic that I'm going to be discussing. And I'm going to be drilling down. I'm going to be trained. I'm a trainer by heart, right? I'm a trainer by heart. So when we do that webinar, I'm going to be training on that webinar. And at the end of that webinar, I'm going to have a call to action. But before you even get to that part of the webinar, there's something important that people have to do in order to get access to the webinar. And a lot of people take this for granted. And this is why I see so many online entrepreneurs, they still don't have a list. They still do not have a database of emails, of names, of individuals who are specifically interested in a product or service. You know why? Because they're doing live streams. And they don't have a call to action, right? I go live every day, but you don't have a call to action, so you're not growing your list. If you host a webinar, they have to give you their first name, their last name, and their email address. Some people just do first name and email address. I love the phone number. Some people say where you are putting yourself in a position where people are not going to opt in because they don't want to give their phone number. Well, guess what, Juliette? If they don't want to give the phone number, 9 times out of 10, they're probably not my ideal client, because if they really wanted the information that DeKesha has, even if they don't give me the right number, they'll put something in there.
Yeah. I love this point. I love this point. Too many people are focused on, oh my God, what if they don't? Well, if they don't bother, then they're not ready.
Exactly.
They will follow your live streams. Yeah.
I only want to interact. I only want to engage with individuals who are super ready, who are ready to learn, who are ready to implement. So trust and believe, one field is not going to stop them from, you know, entering in the information onto your webinar platform. And so that to me is the huge, like the biggest difference when it comes to live stream. Live stream is for awareness, because I go live. I'm always live, right? And on whatever platform. But webinars, now you're talking cha-ching. Webinars are for conversion.
So in a way, if you actually put it together, you live stream to create awareness of those people who just came across. They're not ready for commitment yet, right? Yeah. And then you bring them, you can promote your webinar on your live streams, because then they consider, maybe we should join. And if they are ready, because, you know, the transaction, the conversion happens on the webinar, that's where, and what we're talking about, you know, if somebody's not ready to fill an extra field, well, good, because they're not ready. You know, you don't want to be persuading people that they need you. You just want those who are ready and they want, and it's just like the decision is are you the one that is going to be their choice, and that's a different atmosphere. So just have this customer journey in mind when we're talking. We're not saying you don't live stream and do the webinars, because then you're missing the awareness part. But so the webinars themselves,
to the live stream, you do your webinars, but you know what? And I always try to make another point too, Juliette, because what I have found is a lot of speakers, right? A lot of speakers are underestimating the value of adding the webinar into their platform. And here is why. They're one and done. Let me say that again. A lot of speakers who are paid to speak, you have to think about it. When these corporations bring you in to speak, it's one and done. So a lot of times they don't let you sell from the stage, right? So you're going to get your check and you're going to go home, and then what? And here's what I found, because I've worked with speakers in the past. Like, I'm a virtual COO, so I've managed operations for speakers. There's a dry season, honey. There's a dry season. So what are you going to do with your revenue during that dry season? Well, corporations where everyone is on vacation, corporations are not ringing your phone. You need to have an automated webinar, or you need to be hosting or launching a program using webinars so you can have some consistent money.
Exactly. And it actually works so much. I have a very good client and a friend of mine here in Ireland, and she loves going to the events, and she loves listening to people, and what she would always do is look them up. Even if she didn't get a chance to, get something or buy something, which she would always book or something. If there was nothing sold on the speech itself or on the event itself, she would always look them up. She used to get me to look them up. And then this is where, she's excited. Imagine this is your client, right? Ideal client. She's excited. She is ready. You are already an authority. She saw you speak. She is, drawn to you. Give her what she wants, even if it's not on the event, right? So
absolutely. Yes. And a lot of times, individuals who have events, there's so much room for them to pick up money that they're leaving on the table. So, we're hosting an event, right? But everyone can't attend, right? You're in Ireland.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you're in Ireland. You're not going to come to my event because you just found out about it, right? Now, you might come in May.
I usually don't go to the events because I just don't bother traveling. I just like being home.
So think about it. So we have events, right? But everyone may not be able to travel from the UK, from Ireland, from South Africa, wherever. We know people all over the world. And so we're going to do the event. And for those of you all that host events, guess what they do on the back end side? They host a webinar for the individuals who were not able to make it to the event. And it's an encore. Let me show you just a smidget of what the individuals who came to my live event, what they learned. And here's an opportunity. I'm dropping y'all nuggets. Y'all better be writing these strategies down. You better write it down. True. But this is the opportunity for you to come and work with us, because this is a snippet, a sneak peek of what we did at the event.
And there is a few things that actually play with that. If say I can't go to DeKesha's event, right? Even though it's my decision not to go, I still feel like I'm missing out. The fear of missing out is a serious thing, guys. So I'm feeling like I'm missing out. So whatever, she has a webinar, I'm like, yes, I don't have to leave my office. Exactly. I'm just going to, and for that little one area of things, because I missed out on the whole event, I feel so much more passion to draw, and I am much more likely to actually buy whatever is sold at the end of that webinar.
See? And that's exactly how. So I just gave you 3 strategies to generate revenue with webinars on top of something that you are already doing. So, and that's the thing about it. When I promote the actual, utilizing webinars to grow your business, I'm not telling you to stop what you're doing. I'm just telling you that I'm suggesting that you add on to what you're already doing, so that $100,000 launch could turn into a $200,000 launch. Yes.
This is absolutely brilliant. Don't have to drop everything you've done so far.
No.
Just add it on as an extra chance, because some people might go through there and you will scale, because it's one to many delivery. It's not something you have to do over and over, or there is a capacity or anything like that. Can I ask you, and I know that this is going to be such a big topic, but in concise, say I have never run a webinar. Actually, it's true. I have not run a webinar, even though I just installed a webinar platform onto my website. I have it already, right? And I was procrastinating with the slides for the webinar,
Okay.
but anyway, I understand how to, everything, but not for me, but for somebody who is in our audience and says, I'm terrified. I don't know, what sort of structure or how do I approach this? Would you have any sort of hands-on advice how they can even start thinking about it?
Let me see if I can do something real quick without messing it up. Y'all ready? On
yeah.
the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Ta-da! Literally, you guys, turn the camera off. Like so many.
I was completely lost that, right? What was happening.
Literally, like, people forget that you don't necessarily have to show your face when you are live. So you can turn the camera off, share your PowerPoint. No one will ever see you. Like, trust and believe. I have done webinars and no makeup, no hair done. Like, I probably had sweatpants on, but I had a cute top on. Maybe I showed my face at the beginning. I've done some webinars where I completely do not show my face at all whatsoever. So the first thing that I would tell you, if you've never done a webinar before, do not feel that you have to show your face on that webinar. You can use your PowerPoint slides, you can share your screen, and you can turn it off. Don't worry about like making mistakes or stumbling over words. The one thing I will tell you to do is do not read like from a piece of paper.
Oh yeah, that's the worst thing. Oh my God, the energy is completely different. I even messed up your bio. And I'm good at this.
Do not like write your webinar out and read from it, but make sure that you're and I don't even know, like, make notes or bullet points on a piece of paper. Like, if you guys could see the journals that are around my desk, like, I have a journal for everything. And so I take notes in my journal. And so I don't necessarily need everything written out. And I'm telling you, once you get the first one done, it's like a breath of fresh air.
Can I ask you while we're on the topic, because my problem was the opposite. I don't mind it took me 5 minutes to look like this, guys. I just wake up like this. But I'm messing. But I don't mind being on camera. But what stopped me for many, many months was the PowerPoint presentations, because I just, I didn't work with the PowerPoints before. And it's just the whole thing feels so overwhelming. Is it okay to do a webinar where you actually do it with your camera on, without the slides?
Absolutely. If you know exactly what you want to talk about, you do not necessarily have to have a PowerPoint. And Russell Brunson, Tony Robbins, and Dean Graziosi, they all did a 2-hour masterclass or webinar, and literally were sitting behind a desk. Like, they were sitting all together, like, pretty much if someone was sitting beside me and had the camera face to me, and we were just, we were teaching. Now, granted, they may have a slide or something set up with notes on it, like from a production standpoint, but the camera, we only saw them. And so it is absolutely not a problem to go live or do a webinar, and not necessarily have a PowerPoint. At the end of the day, you just need to have something where you're staying on track for your content. Right.
You just gave me a keyword, by the way. I don't know. Well, you probably didn't even notice, but guys, maybe you are like me and you're kind of completely overthinking what Kesha just said. She said the word teach. Yes. Remember when we were at lessons or lectures and the professor or teacher just stands there and that's all we see, and maybe they write something, because you can always bring, a whiteboard. I have even like a little
and that's what I was
whiteboard that you can write.
Don't use slides, they use whiteboards.
Yeah, and so this was just, for me, it was just, while you were talking, it just clicked. It's like, oh yeah, teach. It's not webinar and all these words and PowerPoint slides, they just put you off. But actually, it's just all about just teaching. So Yeah.
It's teaching. And a lot of times people, they overcomplicate a simplistic process. And so anything that you can teach in person, you can teach it on a webinar.
This is, I love it, because I think that even, and I know guys in my audience who follow me, and they would be saying, Juliette, you always take the complex things and you simplify. That's your, yes, I do. But guys, with webinars, I was one of these people that DeKesha just described, where you overthink the simplest things. And so I'm already getting value just from talking to DeKesha now on this interview. So I'm sure you do as well. Imagine, and there's so many people who actually have no problem teaching, especially with, with a small audience or in the room. And yes, having something like, and I don't know how much noise it's going to show, but I have something like this. It's a whiteboard. Yes. It was like $2. And you can just write things that you need to.
Absolutely. Yep.
And do that. And it's just so liberating, thinking that you don't need the PowerPoint slides. And yes, it's not about looking professional or not professional. You're as professional doing this as you are with the slides.
Absolutely.
I actually think that
now I have to go buy me a small whiteboard, because when I teach, I draw like a triangle. And so if I'm teaching, I can draw my triangle and I can share it. So see, thank you. I'm going to go buy me a small whiteboard.
You know what I did before, actually? I am on, but it was on live streams inside my Facebook group. But I used little notes. I printed out these kind of like sheets. And I would use these notes that I would just, hold close to the camera. That's before I saw this wonderful $2 little whiteboard. I actually bought it for my daughter, who is doing grinds, with physics grinds. And I thought, and on the other side, there is also things you can do. So yeah, see, we already giving you practical solutions. But guys, and we could talk about this for so long, but I know that our show is quite short. So I know that there is a step. If you want to learn more about webinars, DeKesha is the person for you. So DeKesha, what is the next step?
So we have a free gift. I will make sure that you get the link. So if they've never done a webinar, we have a webinar checklist. So it helps you to format your first webinar if you've never done a webinar. And that way you can actually map out your first webinar, whether you want to use PowerPoints or not. And at least you know what you can teach and what you can go over on that webinar.
That is it's so helpful. I'm going to get a copy definitely after this conversation. Thank you so much, DeKesha, for being my wonderful guest today and really sharing. Guys, I hope you are writing things down. And if you haven't, Facebook now allows us, if you're watching this on Facebook, of course, and not on podcast, Facebook allows us to skip back now to kind of like, rewind back. If you're listening to this on a podcast, sure, you have all the controls. Just listen to it again. It's only 20 minutes. Thank you so much again, DeKesha. And guys, I will see you next week, or I will talk to you next week on another episode of Show Up, Stand Out. Thank you.